think it's an important conversation that you're having, because I think a lot of people are not open about what's going on, especially with things to do with money. And so then that's why a lot of us end up making mistakes because no one told us.
Are you a international medical graduate, or you're currently in medical school outside the US, but you've considered going into residency in the US or in the UK? If you are, watch this video till the end so that you can get more in-depth information about financial benefits. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Dr. L. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much for sticking around. Today, I bring you Dr. Cissy, a medical doctor in the UK. She is originally from Uganda. She did her medical training in Uganda, but she's now in the UK. She's there with her family and she's recently had a baby. So in this video, we're going to talk about maternity leave, comparing the US to the UK. At least I'll compare it to where I did my residency to where she is now and see what the benefits are. As a mom, if you're a doctor, an IMG who's looking to, move to the UK or the US, so you can compare these things. There's more to life and, job satisfaction other than money. So we'll compare benefits, including, maternity leave, pension, health insurance, etc. Without further ado, Cissy, can you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Cissy. I'm a Ugandan medical doctor working in the UK, and I am a mom of three. I have a 5-year-old, two-year-old, and a 7-month-old baby. Oh. Yes, who I am nursing right now.
Okay, which is perfect because we're talking about maternity leave. So I am a mother of two. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I had a baby in 2020 at the height of COVID when everything was shutting down. So I do have experience being a trainee and having to go on maternity leave. And at the time, so each year, I only have 15 working days off as vacation and 5 days as sick days or personal days for other things. I could have up to 12 weeks maternity leave. That's what's regularly allowed, but it's unpaid leave unless you use what they call short-term disability, which then is not necessarily paid. So you pay an insurance fee every month so that you have disability covers for when you get sick. So that is what most people use during the time that they're on maternity leave. I had up to 12 weeks. However, because at the time I was a trainee and I was only doing my second year, we were told we can, on average, in order for you to graduate on time and to qualify to take the boards, or which is the certification exams on time, you're allowed to take about 4 weeks off every year. So I could only take a maximum of 4 weeks, which included, my paid leave. And then 1 week was unpaid. So I had to go back to work after 4 weeks.
What? And then, hold on, your paid leave is only 15 days in a year?
15, no, it's actually 20, but 15 days were vacation days and 5 days were personal days. But because at the time I had a young child, I used some of those personal days, sick days for her. When she got sick and my husband had to go to work, I had to stay home with her. Or sometimes I was not well myself, then I would use those days. So those days I used up. By the time I had the baby, I had the 15 vacation days, which I used. And for you to qualify for the disability cover, which only covers 60% of your salary, I had to use 2 weeks of vacation first for me to qualify for the disability. So either way, I had to use vacation. So I figured, you know what, let me use the 15 days of vacation and then I have 1 week of unpaid leave from work. So then the insurance company would then pay for disability. And I got 60% of my pay for just 1 week. And I had to go back to work week number 5. So what was your experience with
that makes me so sad because I had a similar experience only in the amount of time I got off school after my first. So when I had her, I was doing my master's and I happened to have her exactly when it was time to go for a school break, which was exactly 4 weeks long. And so after that, in the 5th week, I went back for lectures. But it's not the same as work because you could miss those. And then also it was walking distance. So I only walked and then I was back by lunchtime. And yeah, Wow. That's tough. That's really, really tough. I've
Yeah.
heard it's really bad in the US. I didn't know it was that bad.
It's not that bad. I think it depends on the employer. So,
Mm,
like for example, where I am now, and I'm a fellow now at a different
mm,
training program. It's fully
mm,
paid up to, I think most people take 6 weeks. I think it's up to 6 weeks for the trainees. I may stand corrected on that. But then standard is 12. You're allowed 12 weeks. And it's considered like FMLA. You're having a baby, you can take up to 12 weeks. It's usually unpaid. For some employers, at least where I was, it was unpaid. You would have to get disability to cover your pay, and your insurance, your health insurance, which is important while you're having a baby, is
mm,
covered, by that disability pay. But
mm,
where I am now, maternity leave fully paid. So it really depends on the employer. But where I was before, I
mm.
I had to take 4 weeks because I was a trainee, and I didn't want to delay my graduation.
Training, right. Okay. So over here, I'm a trainee as well. I'm in my second year of training in psychiatry, and it will definitely delay your training. The amount of time you take is your choice. So however much you take out is how much your training will be extended by. They just completely extend it by the exact amount of time. So that definitely is affected. But in terms of the time you're allowed off nationally, the maternity leave is up to 52 weeks, which is 1 year nationally. And in terms of maternity pay, there are two options. One of them is statutory, which I think maybe it's from the government, I'm not sure. And then the other one is called occupational, is by NHS. So if you qualify for all the pay, which I did by the time I had my second, I was qualifying for all the maximum pay that I could get. I only got 100%. I think it's for the first 2 months only. Well, it's for the first 8 weeks, which I think becomes roughly 2 months, 100%. And then after that, it starts reducing very gradually. Well, not very gradually. It seemed a bit steep, to be honest, because my average salary is like 3,200 on average. So you get that for the first 2 months, which is the same as usual. Then in the third month, it was 2,000, like 500. And then by the next month, it's like 2,200. Then now it gradually reduces. I've made a full video, which I think might be out by now. I'm not sure, in which I talked about my exact amount of money that I got paid for this current maternity leave. So it's pretty much the same as the other one. So by the end of the 6th month, then the money is not sustainable for me personally. It was not sustainable. I cannot afford my living expenses on that sort of money. But usually it keeps reducing, and then by the 9th month is the last paid month. The last 3 months are unpaid. So it's up to you, I guess, if you've planned in advance, or if maybe you have, depending on your family situation, if you can afford to, you can take up to a whole year and even longer, because this is without the annual leave. So I usually take my annual leave, which I haven't taken. So annual leave here is 27 days in a year, which is more than even a month, because it's only 27 working days. If you spread them out, they can really take you some good distance. At least 1.5 months can push you a bit longer. So yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned that you have 3 kids. You've had all of them in the UK. So
Yes.
how was your experience with delivery for
Mm,
each of them? The first one, you were a student, you're an international student, you're doing your MSc. So how
yes.
was that compared to when you're an employee? And I know you were there on a type of visa, but
Visa.
how was it? Was it any different?
It's different, but the difference is only recent. In that, if you're on a student visa, you have to pay for the healthcare. You have to pay for an extra amount. It's like a health surcharge to access healthcare. By the time I got my first job, like by the time my second child was born, I was still a worker, but they were still making us pay for the health surcharge. Still, even when you're an NHS employee, they'll make you pay for the visa and then pay to access the NHS. So luckily, they realized that was crazy, because the amount of money is so much, like it would be a huge burden. And so they were trying to attract more people to come and work. So they scrapped that for NHS workers. So we don't have to pay that extra fee. So that means I was relieved of that fee. this time around because I'm an employee of the NHS. So I didn't have to pay it, but I had access to the NHS care.
So that health surcharge, did you have to pay it every time that you accessed it, or was it like a once-off payment?
It was a once-off payment. At the same time you're applying for your visa, they make you pay it, and then it's per year. So it was like £600 per year per person. Because if you're a family of 5, then it's a lot of money. Yeah.
Wow. So here, health care is not free. So in the US, most employers offer health insurance. Most hospitals will have some sort of health insurance. And most employers, even other employers that are not hospitals or within healthcare, do offer health insurance as well. So the way that it works is in my paycheck, for example, I'll pay on average, I think in 2020, which is when I had my son, we were paying $155 per paycheck. So every 2 weeks, we're paying $155. So which is like just over $300 every 4 weeks, because we have 26 paychecks in a year. So it's $155 times 26. That's what it costs for my entire family, me and my husband and my kids. But even then, there's something called deductible. So when you access care, there's a certain amount that you have to pay out of pocket before insurance kicks in. So for example, when I had my son, I think by the time I delivered him, like there's prenatal visits and scans, etc. So by the time I delivered him, I think off the top of my head, I think we paid maybe between $2,500 and $3,000 by the time I had him, just for that period, just for the 9 months that I had to go for prenatal visits, for scans, etc. Yeah, so I had to pay that out of pocket.
And then do they give that back or
no? When I looked at the entire bill, I don't remember the exact amount. It was like over $10,000 that they charged my insurance. The insurance does not pay all of the whatever amount it is that they charge. They have a fee, the maximum amount that they're willing to pay. We had to pay an extra between $2,500 and $3,500. That's how much we paid out of pocket just to have the baby. So did you have to pay anything after delivering any of it?
No,
nothing?
I walked out with my baby.
That's beautiful.
So, because in Uganda we don't have this kind of system. We have it, but it doesn't really work, to be honest. And so most people use private healthcare. So I was also on my dad's insurance when I was still like back home, and I guess before I got married, when I was still on his insurance, and it was the same. We'd have to pay, and then the insurance would cover a huger percentage, and there was all this stuff. So every time I'm leaving the hospital here, I feel like I'm going to be arrested, or I feel like, how can they just let me go? I can't believe it. And with this one too, they gave me so much medication, had so much medication. They just brought huge loads and loads of medication. I had to give myself some blood thinner injection. They brought me huge boxes of those for 6 weeks with the syringes and everything, and even a sharps box. And then I had
sharps box too. Wow.
Yes, a sharps box too. They give you so much. And even when I was pregnant with him, my pregnancy was so difficult. I was admitted at some point. So when I was admitted, they told me I would have to stay in until delivery. And at that time, the plan was I would be in hospital for 12 weeks.
Wow.
And when we were telling my family back home, the first thing they were saying is, do you have to pay for this? And I said, no. And then I realized, oh, thank God. Imagine I had to pay for this. And while I was admitted, they're giving you meals, breakfast, lunch, supper, snacks. And then I had some physio problems like, pelvic girdle pain, my back. The physios would come. The physios gave me a pelvic support belt. Wow. Just for free, like it's all covered. It's amazing. Wow. It's hard to believe, but it's actually true. If I wasn't seeing it with my own eyes, that you can actually receive everything. Even, like my baby, he has eczema. And both of them have had it. So they prescribe some garments that are a certain material that they say is good for the skin, and with fold over mittens and even pants and even the shower gel, like special ones, not really special, like Aveeno, you can buy it in the shop.
Yeah.
But if it's dermatology prescribed, you just get it. So yeah, that's a huge difference. That you pay nothing, you just walk out.
Wow, that's amazing. With us, we walked out, but then got the bill in the mail. So maternity leave and healthcare, those are two benefits that we've covered so far. In terms of pension, what does pension look like? Do you get pension? If you do contribute, do you contribute? Does the employer contribute? How does that look? And when can you access it?
I don't know a lot about the pension system, but what I do know is that the employer contributes and also you contribute. I think the employer matches what you contribute. So the pension is, it depends on how much you're earning. So at the level that I'm at, the pension is 9.6% of my salary is pension's contribution. And then first of all, it's tax free. And then the employer will contribute, because if you decide that you want to take that money out, then they will now tax it. So that's how there's a loss there if you decide to take your money. And then when I get to my third year of training, my salary will increase. And so my pension deductions will also increase. They will now start to take 12% when you reach at that higher level. So the higher you go, the more you're deducted for pensions, but also the more your employer will put for you. And the NHS pension apparently is one of the best. So everyone who's an expert says the NHS pension is great and you should not leave the NHS pension. So for me, I actually opted out in the beginning because it's not compulsory. You can choose to opt out and they'll give you your money. But what happened was that, so once you've started the job in the NHS, you have only, I think, 2 years. The first 2 years, you can say that, you know what, I don't want I want out, give me back my money. So they'll give you back your money that you've contributed, but they will now take away the tax. So it becomes much less. It's not that much because they will tax it. And so I kind of regret doing that. And then when you're now paying into it, after the next 2 years, you can't just take it out. If you decide to opt out, you'll stop paying, but you can't get the money out that you've contributed. So I think it's only up to the retirement age, which over here is 68. And every year they keep on increasing it because it's just become 68 recently. It was like 65. They keep on going higher and higher. Yeah, I don't know if we'll live that long, but what's it like over there?
So the way that pension is structured here, it depends on the type of employer that you have. So if you have a private employer versus a not-for-profit. So if it's for profit versus not for profit. So they have different types. There's something called 401k, which was what I had before. And I'll just talk about that one. There's so many other different types. So if you're interested in knowing more about the other types of pension, you could check out other videos, or if you're interested in me making another video, a video on this, just comment down below and I'll do that. So the way that it is there's a certain contribution that I would make, and then the employer would match it. So, and like similar to what you guys have over there, we have an opt out. So you could opt out. Initially, when I got my first paycheck, and I was shocked at the amount. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is all I'm getting. And and if you want me to make a video about my first paycheck, I'll just comment down below and I'll do it. But I was shocked and I was like, wait, what's this money? And I saw the 401k and I was wondering, what on earth is this? And when I asked about it, they told me it's pension. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to opt out because they're taking, it was, I think 4% at the time. 4% at the time. And I was like, and then one of my colleagues was like, don't opt out because they're going to match it and it's free money. Well, it's not free money. Technically, you're working for it, but it's, the employer is paying. Otherwise, you'd miss out on that match. So then I, carried on just contributing. So at least my previous training program, they matched up to 4% as far as pension is concerned. The retirement age here, so you decide in terms of the plan that you pick, how it is that you want your money to be invested. The last thing we'll cover is life cover and disability insurance. Does your employer offer that? Do you have to get it on your own? Give an example with me. Previous employer offered life insurance, I could insure my partner, my husband, as well as my kids. life insurance. And then they also offer disability insurance in case I am unwell. And like I said, FMLA, with FMLA, you would have to get disability insurance to cover your pay, because then your employer would not be covering your pay during the time that you're not working, unless you use your paid time off, which is or vacation time. But when I moved to a new employer, or the current training position where I am, there is a life cover, but it's significantly lower. So I looked into supplementing it by getting a private one. And because of the visa that I'm on, and I'm a temporary visitor in the US, I could not get life insurance in the US from a private company. So that's why I'm interested in knowing, like, what is the situation in the UK? Can somebody get it from your employer? Can you get it, or can you get it privately? If so,
because I work for the NHS, I don't know about other companies, but the NHS does not give you life insurance. It's not life insurance. It's something called death in service benefit. It's not really life insurance. It's if you die and you're working for them, then they can give you dependents. I think it's 1.5 times or 2 times or maybe maximum 3 times the value of your annual salary. It's not a lot, but it's not a lot because most of the time insurance is tied to mortgages. And usually the insurance should be the value at least of your mortgage, so that if you die, then you can pay off the value of your mortgage, which most houses are at least minimum, I think 200,000 pounds, for instance. Or for me where I live, it's like 350,000 pounds is the average value of a house, like a 3-bedroom house. And if my salary is 50K a year, times 3, 150. And then for the disability, no, there is no disability. There's just sick leave. And the sick leave can take you max. It depends on how long you've worked for them. So the longer you've worked, the more time paid you get. So the maximum is 6 months paid leave, 6 months half pay, I think, and then nothing, something like that. But ideally, you want to get your own. So for me, I have my own life insurance from a private company, and also my own income protection policy as well. Because if I was to not work, then my family would be greatly affected. So that's why we do that. Yeah.
Was it a company in the UK? And when you applied, did they have any issues? Like, did you encounter any issues with the application process?
No, as far as the visa thing was not an issue, no.
Okay.
Whether on a visa or not, yeah, that didn't come up unless they don't know, and maybe it's even invalid.
No, they would have told you. They have underwriters who really look at these things, so they know. They would have told you. Thank you very much, Cissy, for your time, and thank you very much for answering questions candidly. Part of the reason why I wanted us to go over this is there's more to life, and there's more to, income other than just salary. When you're an employee or when you have a job, there's other benefits as well. And these are important. And these are some of the things that we don't look at when you're looking for jobs, especially the international medical graduate. You usually just look at a program and you're like, much better than where I am or my home country, and you jump into it and you don't realize that there's more to it, especially in a foreign country. You need to be able to have health insurance if it is that it's not offered for free. You need to make sure that if anything happens to you and you lose your job, your family is taken care of and everything is taken care of so that your family is not struggling in a foreign land. And things like, having a baby and growing your family happens. So maternity leave is also important, and pension as well. Because at some point, whether you end up moving back to your country or staying in that country, wherever it is that you immigrate to, it's important to have pension so that you are taken care of in your old age as well. So these are the things that I wanted us to cover. Thank you, Cissy, for agreeing. If you want to see a video about my salary as a second-year trainee, check out Cissy's YouTube channel. I'll have the video link down below. I really appreciate you and appreciate your time. Do you have anything else to add?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on the channel. And I think it's an important conversation that you're having, because I think a lot of people are not open about what's going on, especially with things to do with money. And so then that's why a lot of us end up making mistakes, because no one told us. So for instance, me opting out of my pensions in the beginning, and it goes a long way because every little helps, compounding interest. I didn't know all these things. I'm having to teach myself as an adult. I think you also opted out at some point, you said, or you were about to, and
I was
someone
about
took.
to.
So I think it will help someone out there. At least one person will watch and they'll be like, oh, you know what? I should probably not opt out, or maybe I should opt back in. And I think as immigrants, also, a lot of times we don't think about these things, especially life insurance. Even talking about death is like a bad omen. It's like you're inviting it. And yet it's the one thing that you're sure is going to happen to us. It's the one thing you're sure of. You just don't know when. So you want to protect your family and not leave them struggling, because I think that community era is kind of reducing, whereby, okay, when people die and then every like community collects, they do, but you don't want them to be so stressed, especially your like nuclear family.
True.
Try not to stress them too much. It's already bad enough that you've died, so try to ease the pain. Give them some money.
Yes. Yes. Let them enjoy life even after you're gone. They shouldn't struggle. All
Yes.
right. All right, guys. Please, if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. If you'd like other videos, or if you have any ideas for videos that we could do, please comment down below. Any questions that you have for Cissy, please comment down below, or go to her channel and comment on one of her videos, and she'll respond. Or if you want one-on-one attention so that she can attend to your questions in particular, you can book a time with her for a small fee. Thank you, guys. Bye.